Hello, thanks again for listening to the Finance Leadership Podcast. It's the usual latest update and news about the Finance Leadership Programme. It's produced by AICPA and CIMA, together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants. You can find out more at AICPA-CIMA.com. As usual, you're listening to Kevin. I host this podcast, and today I am joined by Andi Lonnen from Finance Business Partnering. Hi, Andi. Welcome to the podcast. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us about what you do, please?
Hi, Kevin. Thank you so much. So my name is Andi Lonnen. I'm a fully qualified accountant myself, experienced to commercial finance director level, and I now run a company called Finance Business Partner Academy. The Academy kind of does what it says on the tin. It's everything to do with business partnering, whether it's a 12-month transformation program, training courses, our annual conference, the FBP Bootcamp. We've got an e-learning platform, a book, and we speak on a lot of conferences and events and podcasts like your good self.
Great, thanks. Some of our listeners might be asking why we're doing this today, but this is a really good opportunity to learn more about finance business partnering for some of our students who may be considering what to specialize in, looking at the various disciplines, or looking at things that are really good to know for their career and for job prospects. This will be very, very useful because I'm sure you've heard of finance business partnering as a concept. If you haven't, where have you been? Obviously, Andi has vast experience in this area. And what we're going to do today is take you through a little bit of an introduction to what it is, why would you want to be one, and talk about the differences between your traditional management accountant and finance business partnering. Talk through mindset, skill sets, what skills are required, and that gives you an idea of what we're going to cover. And this area is one of the fastest growing areas in accountancy. And in terms of the discipline itself, it's really important because what it does is it focuses on connectivity between various aspects and parts of a business, and obviously the core accountancy function. So, Andi, let's just start with a definition. I think that's always a good place to start. What is a finance business partner?
It's actually a really good question because there isn't a formal definition of what finance business partnering is at this point in time, which is just astonishing, isn't it?
Maybe not a good question, yeah.
It is a good question. So I take the title itself, finance business partner. It's someone with finance specialism, finance background, finance skills, and expertise who partner, i.e. connect and collaborate with the business. And it's for the purpose of really helping people in the business to make smart, informed decisions that are grounded in sound financial analysis and to help drive improved performance. And that can mean all sorts of different things. That might mean improving profit. It might mean achieving net zero or best customer care or whatever it is. There's lots of different strategic and commercial priorities in an organization. So sometimes it's better to say that it's aimed at achieving the strategic and commercial priorities of the organization. So you have to know what they are to be a good business partner. So I hope that helps.
Yeah. So we'll use FBP because it's a bit of a mouthful, obviously, going forward. So would it be fair to say an FBP is a conduit between your core finance function and, say, manufacturing or marketing or another area of the business?
It's a really good description. Yeah, we sometimes call it the bridge between techie finance, the people who know the latest IFRS, the International Financial Reporting Standards, or the latest tax and VAT law and that sort of thing, the people who really know the detailed stuff, and then being that conduit, that bridge to the rest of the organization and what that information means for them. So if someone in manufacturing or wherever wants to make a decision about leasing or buying something, for example, then the FBP can go to the right techie specialists and get the information and then translate that in a way that people in manufacturing understand. So they're a translator as well, so that, again, the decisions in the business can be made and they're smart, they're informed, and it helps drive the improved performance.
Great. No, it makes perfect sense. And obviously one of the big questions was going to be around what's the difference between a traditional management accountant and an FBP?
Yeah, we get asked that a lot, actually. I think what we've done for centuries as accountants is we've added up, whereas you'd say a finance business partner adds value. And what I mean by that is a traditional accountant will do the adding up, they'll do the producing of the accounts and so on, and then they'll hand those over to the business. A finance business partner will pull out the most pertinent points from the financials to help, again, and I'll keep saying it again and again because I don't mind if people chant this in their sleep, is to help drive those smart, informed decisions, help achieve strategic and commercial priorities, help drive improved performance. So they do, they deliver intelligent interpretation of the numbers, what they mean for the recipients of that information. How can those recipients use that information to achieve those goals of the smart, informed decision and so on. So it really is about delivering much more value, adding up versus adding value.
You say 20 years ago, everyone would have thought the accountant was a person in a room no one spoke to. They spoke to no one else. I know these are very outdated concepts of accountants, but I remember way back many, many years ago when we were looking at degrees and I was looking at business and accounting degrees and stuff, and I thought, well, what's the right career path for myself? That would have been the concept that we all had in our heads at that time. So, there would have been a misguided principle, but a lot of these accountants are not very good communicators, not very communicative, like to send you spreadsheets and numbers, which no one understands. So I guess what you're saying, to wrap it up, is this is an evolution to make the accountant much more connected and to convince and bring people on the journey of what the accounting function is trying to do in a business. Would that be right?
Absolutely, and so much more relevant. And I think you're right. There is that preconceived idea of what an accountant looks like and what they do, and so on. And nowadays, it's for me, I find it so much more exciting, much more dynamic to be really involved in the business and making a difference. I think it's so much more fulfilling. And with technology going the way it's going, the business partner role is absolutely exploding in popularity for good and valid reason. The finance business partner can differentiate from the robots. The traditional management accountant, in theory, can't really differentiate too much from the robots. The robots, AI, automation are taking over a lot of what the traditional work is. So it's so much more fulfilling to be relevant in the business, meaningful in the business. And you learn so much as well. You really learn what the challenges of the business are and how you can help with your specialism. What's keeping your stakeholders up at night? How can you help solve some of their issues and get them over the finishing line? It's really exciting to be involved at that level in the business and be a real part of everything that's achieving those goals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, breaking down those silos between departments, between finance and everything else. So talk me through the mindset of a finance business partner. You're looking at things like, skill set. What do they do typically on a daily or monthly or weekly basis? What would this job entail, and is it right for them?
Yeah, so we talk at a higher level about the trifecta of finance business partner mindset, skill set, and daily action. So I'll take that first. The finance business partner mindset is being really focused and intentional about delivering value with everything that you do on a daily basis. So every task that you're about to start, how is that going to help achieve strategic priorities? So it's really connecting the dots between the strategic and commercial priorities of the company and what you're doing. So really being focused and intentional about delivering that value. The skill set, I'll come on to more shortly, but it's what we call our 9 C's, finance business partner formula, which is basically business skills, partnering skills, as well as what we call enabling skills and digital and finance skills as well. But I'd say the most important thing is the daily actions that you take. So there are lots of people called finance business partners, but that isn't what they do on a daily basis. And there are lots of people not called finance business partners, but that is what they do on a daily basis. So literally every single email, every discussion, every meeting, every report, every presentation, literally every reconciliation, every single thing that you do every single day is when you business partner. And I can't stress that enough. When we start with the programs, for example, the transformation programs, people will come to us during the follow-up accountability sessions and will say, I've not had time to implement something from the module. And it's like, you've not written one email, because that's when you implement. You don't implement at a special time. What on earth would that mean? It's all the time. It's every single thing that you do. That is when you business partner. You've got so many opportunities to demonstrate those business partnering skills. So I think at the high level, that's really key. Mindset, skill set, daily actions. I can chat a bit more around the key skills, the 9Cs FBP formula. 9Cs, it's a lot.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, please do.
Sometimes called the 99 Cs. I'll leave it up to you guys to decide. So the first C is connect and collaborate. That's already 2 in 1. That's the partner element of the finance business partner role, really connecting with others in the organization, collaborating with them to drive the organization forwards. The second C, communicate financial information simply and effectively. You can literally be the best accountant in the world, but the world will never know how good you are unless you can communicate in a way that the rest of the world understands. And we do have our own special language in finance as well. The third of the 9 Cs, clear, strategic thinker. So it really is aligning with the strategic priorities of the organization and just thinking at a higher level, thinking up and higher away from all the noise and the humdrum of the day-to-day stuff that's going on. It's a lot more future focused. It's a lot more longer term and that sort of thing. So clear, strategic thinker, really important part, one of the business elements of the finance business partner role. Fourth, commercial acumen. So the business elements of the finance business partner role are really deep understanding of the business, the challenges it faces, and how you can help overcome those challenges with your finance specialism. We're not here to solve all the company's problems, just what we can bring to the table in finance. I remember reading a trade journal probably about 20 years ago, something like that. It was an interview with the finance director. And she said, people will always call you bean counters. We'll make that stand for something. Go and find where those beans are grown. And I loved that. That stuck with me my entire finance career. And to me, that's what commercial acumen is, going to find where those beans are grown, really getting under the skin of your organization, understanding what makes it tick, why people choose you, where the money comes from, where it goes to, what's driving the behavior, everything about your organization, whichever sector it's in. So the 5th C, change agents and challenge the status quo, challenge the way things are done around here. Lots of people nod. When I say that, it's like, there's so many status quos we want to challenge, to be that agent for change and drive efficiencies and improvements and so on. 6th, very important, computer, digital mindset. And that doesn't necessarily mean at all a fancy new IT system. It's very much focused on, do you use what you have now well? I mean, if I'm honest, and I've used Excel my whole life, I probably can only use about 4% of functionality, and that might be over generous because the functionality is vast on something like Excel. So are you using what you have well? And it's also looking at other software options. And again, partner as widely as possible. You can partner with people in IT. You know, what can they do? These people love this stuff. You know, have they got ways of automating things? Do they know software solutions? If they know what your challenges are and what you're trying to achieve, the chances are they can help you. We've just got to connect and collaborate with others in the organization or external, depending on the size of your organization as well. So this is such a key one. And of course, with what's happening in technology and AI and everything at the moment, it couldn't be more important. So hugely important one, hugely important skill. 7, curiosity, creative, can-do attitude. We probably get asked the most by potential clients and clients, can you make our finance professionals more curious about the business, more curious about the challenges people face, more curious about how they can be creative in their solutions that they give to key stakeholders and so on. We interview successful finance business partners from around the world in the Academy, and we always ask them for their favourite of the 9 Cs. And curiosity has been cited the most out of all the interviews that we've done, which is so interesting. It's number 7 of 9. So there's an order for a reason, but it doesn't mean any are less important than any of the others. So curiosity, a huge one. And the reason I've included can-do attitude in that one, you can see why it's called the 99 Cs, I'm guessing, as we go through. A number of the research reports by KPMG and CIMA and Ernst & Young, Deloitte, PwC, etc., found that you have to have self-motivation to be a finance business partner. Because although there are so many benefits to being a business partner, your approaches are not always welcomed by the rest of the organization. An example, I I was called a spy when I started really partnering with the business. It was something I just wanted to do to bring the numbers a lot more to life and get involved a lot more. And I thought by being there, people would welcome and appreciate that. But they treated me with suspicion. Why is scary finance here? Are they here to cut budget? Are they here to cut jobs? Are they here going back to that traditional view of accountants? We're seen as the money police and people that stop things and cut things and so on. That wasn't what I was there to do at all. And I had to let my actions speak louder than words. So can-do attitude is super important, because not every day will be a bed of roses, put it that way. But you know why you're doing it. You're doing it for the greater good. The 8th of the 9 C's, calm, confident, in control. This one is so important for a number of reasons. Resilience, my goodness, do we need it more than ever in finance? There are so many things we're expected to do, which is exciting, but we do need to stay strong, mentally resilient. And the PwC report into finance business partnering found we have to earn the trust to sit at the decision-making table. And that calm, confident, in control is one way to do that, rather than drama-rama. Being that calm swan on the surface, even if you're frantically paddling away underneath. And finally, number 9, competent finance professional, the finance element of the finance business partner role. So there you go, all the skills, business partnering, business skills, partnering skills, enabling skills, and those finance and digital skills that are needed to be a really well-rounded finance business partner.
Yeah, a couple of things jump out at me, right? Just hearing this genuinely for the first time from you. So we haven't rehearsed anything here, Andy. I want to make that clear. There's only one of the 9 that are to do with the technical elements of accounting.
Interesting, isn't it?
It's striking, actually, because it completely turns on its head what we first said about how accountants are viewed by other parts of the business. The technical person looking at numbers, spreadsheets, financial statements, etc. That's really good with numbers and nothing else. But you've just identified 8 other areas out of a 9-word matrix. So it shows you how the weighting of the skill sets have completely just changed what I've just said.
I know, it really has. It's a continuing evolving area, that's for sure. And research that's been done over the last few years, again, shows that there's a gap between what we know we're supposed to do and actually executing that in the workplace, having those skills and really using those skills to really connect and collaborate the business, really communicate in a way that's simple and effective. We think we're doing that. And when any of us are interviewed, we always say we're a great communicator and we're great at this and great at that. But what do they mean by that? What evidence do you have that you've communicated in a way that someone has made a really smart, informed decision? Finance is a part of every decision. It's not the entire decision. If we think about any decision we make at home, whether it's buying a home or going on a holiday or buying a car or anything, finance is a part of the decision, but it's not the entire decision. We don't just look at finance when we're buying a car. We want to choose, well, for me, the colour and the make and the model and the size and, environmental credentials. And there's lots of different elements, and finance is just one of those elements. And it's really nice to be involved in shaping the best decisions in an organisation rather than be the one that says yes or no, black or white, and so on. It's been a part of that whole experience.
Yeah. There's a couple of other areas too. Obviously, computer, as you mentioned, is your digital mindset and digital skills. I mean, that's become so apparent that there's been a continuous merging of IT and your core finance skills, but also at the same time we see the lower level financial accounting tasks in particular all being automated. Software companies make their money through producing more and more functionality, and that's their game, whether you like it or not. This will continue, and what finance business partnering is clearly doing is moving the traditional accountant offer and what they do up the food chain in terms of value. So I think you've identified the skill sets, but it's for a reason, because it elevates the accounting profession to where it should be within the organisation, which I think is very important.
I literally feel it's doing what you were born to do. It's just not realising that sometimes. The Excel spreadsheets and the deadlines and everything is kind of our comfort blanket. But actually, when you get out there and some magic happens, it's really special. It's really exciting and you want more. It's almost like a drug. It's a pull. It's like, let's do more of this. Let's see what else we can do. That's in bad times. That's in good times. It's in all times. And I think as accountants, it's very easy because we've got all these years of training and qualification and experience. It's really easy for us to think that everyone can interpret what a profit and loss account is and a balance sheet and a cash flow statement. We forget that they don't have our years of training and qualification and experience. And the more we remember it from their point of view, and they might be scared or intimidated by numbers, they might have hated maths at school and that sort of thing, then you can really work with them more effectively and be that translator and putting things into simple, clear English that everyone can understand. They can join in the conversation, they can ask questions, rather than getting nodding dog syndrome because you've used loads of fancy words and they haven't got a clue what you've just said. That's not adding any value. We want to add value.
Yeah, and the final one that jumped out at me is it's something actually I always have been accused of, asking too many questions about things, whether it be the most mundane transactional encounter I have with someone, or a highly complex algorithm or something that quite complex in accounting. I always ask why do you do it that way? How long have you done it that way? And explain in more detail the steps. And I get looks like, if why would you want to know this? By knowing it, you make better financial decisions and you make better decisions overall within a company. So I mean, the FBP clearly is, I think that's a really important skill set, is so they understand the decisions, for example, in IT, in manufacturing, in marketing, whatever department they may be, why they did it, how that started out, and the reasons for it. So then by doing that, you can clearly bring people on the journey to maybe evolve or come on your path to make better decisions. So as you've pointed out, but I think that's really important because I don't think accountants ask why as much as they should.
Yeah, and it comes back to that curiosity and change agent and challenge the status quo, and why you need to have that can-do attitude. You're asking the questions for the greater good. And if you feel uncomfortable saying the why question, just try and think of another way of asking it. My boss, for example, was brilliant. Every sentence she started was, in what way? In what way do you think that? In what way are you doing this? And so on. And another alternative is simply talk me through. And that can feel less challenging when you're speaking to someone as well. It's really, really been important to ask those why questions. Those just might be some techniques to help you do it in a way that's more comfortable for you. Some accountants, well, lots of us are more on the introvert scale, so we can feel a bit rude or pushy. But actually, we have to know this. It's so important that we have professional curiosity to learn about the business and its challenges, because how can you possibly help if you don't know what they are? And you can't find it on Google.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's really insightful, really useful. The 9 C's. I've grown up learning the 4 and then the 5 P's and other things, that all have that type of way to remember them. But it's the first time I've heard the 9th C. So I do remember most. Well, ask me next week, I probably won't. But a lot of it is very common sense, Andy. And to be honest, when you reflect on what you said, but then that's the hardest skill set to hone is common sense for most people.
Common sense, yeah. Common sense, not common practice. But
No,
another
exactly.
C, common sense.
Exactly. Common practice is a hard bit, yeah. Finally, the skill sets required to be a finance business partner. Quite clearly, everyone will not be one or may not want to be one. But what's the key skills in a person that you need?
You need as many of the 9 C's as possible. I would always say, when you go through the 9 C's, which is your favorite, and because that's the one that you're going to be strongest at and have the most fun with. So start with that. Everyone has their own favorite. We were doing this at a CIMA conference recently, and we just asked for a show of hands on each of the 9 C's, and it was so evenly spread throughout the room in terms of which was each person's favorite. So I would say start with that. But it's almost like a jigsaw puzzle. You need each of the 9 C's, and you'll be stronger and less strong in certain areas. And where you're less strong, does that have to be you? That could be a development need, but could that be somebody else that you can plug in and work with, partner with, to make sure that what you're offering as a team is as strong as possible? Some people really rock at the computer stuff. Some people are really good at the people stuff. Some people are really good at the strategic stuff. So work with others so that you have a strong team to support and drive your organization forwards.
Okay, final top tip.
That's the hard one. The best way to think about finance business partner, my top tip, is actually all about them, the people that you're supporting and influencing and connecting and collaborating with. What do they need from you? In fact, there's a quote from a chap called Ray Kroc, who was part of the McDonald's empire. And he said, the more I help others succeed, the more I succeed. And that's exactly business partnering, even though he wasn't talking about that. If you get others across the finishing line, that's exactly what you should be doing. That's your role. So yeah, it's all about them.
So quite a selfless act.
Yeah, it is actually, isn't it?
For most people, that's quite a move. It's quite an adjustment in their, in the world of business to help others, because that reflects well upon you. Yeah, it's quite a different mindset needed for that one.
It is a different mindset. It's that shift, and totally doable and very fulfilling and rewarding when you're there.
Yeah. Well, it's, the concept of teaching. The best output from teaching is successful students. Same sort of concept. Great, Andy. It's been very useful. I've learned, which is always a good way to end.
Thank you so much. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
No problem. No, thank you. And we will have show notes on the info icon on the podcast app on smartphone or tablet. So you can open them up and also on the web browser, and there'll be information pertaining to Andy's business and anything else that's relevant. As I said at the start, for more information, go to AICPA-CIMA.com to find out more about the Finance Leadership Program and this podcast, or you can go to enroll.cgma.org. If you know a friend or colleague who could use this information, feel free to share it with your networks. You'll see the sharing buttons on the podcast app. Thanks again to our guest, Andi Lonnen, and thank you for listening. That's it for now. We'll probably have our next podcast in 2025. Yes, we're at that time of year, so I'd just like to wish everyone a happy Christmas holiday period and see you in 2025. So have a great new year. Goodbye.
This content is designed to provide illustrative information with respect to the subject matter covered and does not represent an official opinion or position of the AICPA, the Association, or CIMA. It is provided with the understanding that they are not engaged in offering legal, accounting, or other professional services. If such advice or expert assistance is required, the services of a competent professional person should be sought. The AICPA, the Association, and CIMA make no representations, warranties, or guarantees as to, and assume no responsibility for, the content or application of the material contained herein, and especially disclaim all liability for any damages arising out of the use of, reference to, or reliance on such material.